How's it? Welcome along to Baz's Garage. We've finally finished mocking up the steering. It's been a bit of a mission to get sorted, but I think for me it's the best way to do it. It's relatively simple and pretty robust. So just to show you where we've ended up, we'll have a look at it and then I'll deconstruct it so you can see what's happened. So this is the base of the motor that I'm going to use in this mower. So as you can see underneath here, we have enough clearance for the rods to move without hitting on anything, okay? So we've got the clearance, everything's just loose at the moment. So just wanted to show you that we have the clearance there for the motor. V-twin's obviously different, but you may have more on with less clearance, okay? So then we'll show you that piece. Okay. So the next part that we've done is we've got the steering wheel up here. So what I've done is undo this bolt and take this off, and I'll show you what this looks like. So this was the inside piece of the old steering column. I cut a circle, welded it into the centre so that it sits in there nicely, drilled the holes in the steering wheel, and then the nut goes through onto there, so it's actually splined and it goes onto the original column. All right, so that's made it quite easy, so I can move the steering to make it level if I want to, make it straight. So that's the first part. So the next part we'll do is we'll pull this cover off. Undo these couple of bolts here. We'll pull the cover off. And you can see what we've done inside. Right. The cover should just lift off. Okay, so this is just all tapped together at the moment. It's not fully welded. So here's the bearing at the bottom that we had in the bottom. We've got the universal joint here going up through into a bearing and then another bearing at the top, and then we've got the support. So this support will be welded to the base and it'll have bracing as well. So it'll have some forward bracing that comes down just so that it's more solid than it is. At the moment it's not very solid. So we can pull this apart. So this piece here slides up through. Okay, so that's the original steering rod with the spleen on top. Machined down that so it fits inside here. I am going to cut a groove down through here and put a keyway in, and then the keyway will line up within here, and then we'll put a bolt through it so the keyway will stop it from moving without having a spline on it. So that will sort that part out. This part here fits onto the top of the joint that we had there, and then it's attached underneath. So if we come forward, we can show you this bit. So we've got the rods set up with the right Ackerman, which we showed you last time. We've got the spacer that sits underneath here and then makes a nice straight level through to the centre part that we've got here. Now I haven't finished this part, it's not tidied up, it's just sitting here, it's just tack welded on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly undo these, take these tie rods off. Now the tie rods are just 10mm rod that I have just put a thread on the end of them, okay? So there's nothing too flash about them, just a 10mm rod with hinge joints on each end. There will be lock nuts on them when we put the whole thing together. So I'll do the same with this one. We'll just undo it, take that off, and these bolts will all have proper nylock bolts, nuts on them as well. When we assemble up at the moment, they're just put together with just normal nuts, nothing flash. Okay, so then I'm just going to rock it onto its side so you can have a bit of a look underneath to see what we've done underneath here. Hopefully everything won't fall apart. Easier than it looks. All got stuck down the back here. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so now we can see underneath here we have the same system where we've got a rod that comes down to the front. Now this is not the original, not the one I'm going to use, but I'm going to put a little bit of a kink in it so that it clears the engine and will move nice and easily. So again, I'll just take this rod off here. And then this part is the old part of the steering that used to be there. So that will actually, oh, I've got it screwed on there. So that means that again, we can put it together wherever we like. Now the other thing to remember is you've got to look at the distances here, because you need to get the right amount of leverage to make it easier to steer. So this here is about 60 mil. So it gives us a good easy movement, and with the size of the steering wheel, it makes it easier to turn. So it's not too stiff. Just turn this over. Okay, right. So that comes through with a rod that comes right through to the front. So this is sort of the shape we're going to have, where it's going to sit right up against the body, and the actual pulley will be down here, so it'll be nowhere near this. It's all tucked up out of the way. So then we made this piece here. So this is a 12mm bolt that's gone right through to underneath. So it goes right through underneath here. So we've basically just welded a bracket onto the front to get the right height. So this sits on top of here, and then the bar comes through into here, and I've got a couple of points so I can adjust how much steering I want. Again, this is not all finished off, it's just tacked in place. This particular part here has 2 bearings inside it, and I'll show you how we do that as well. Alright, so once we're building this piece here for the steering, we've machined the end in here. I'm going to cut it and machine the other end of it, and then to attach the actuators to the end of it, what I do is I get my piece of flat steel, so it's a piece of flat steel like this, stick it into the drill press with a hole saw, put a piece of wood underneath it to hold the centre drill, and then what I do is I use this to cut through, and I'll just finish off this bit now so you can see it. We'll turn it on, we'll go quite slow. Just going to bring this down, and we'll just finish off this. And then we're through. So what that does is gives us a lovely little piece cut out here, which fits beautifully into there. And then we can just weld it on, and it makes it stronger and a better connection. So once we've got this part made, so the way we make this is we have a piece of steam pipe. I showed you we machined out the ends. I've showed you how we cut out these scallops here, and then we set it all up. This bolt will be welded, so it'll sit there. The 2 bearings sit over the whole lot, and as you can see, this sits, I've cut a hole in here so that when the bolts are sitting here, the bolts can move around in and they don't get caused up, okay? So if what we've got there, that's the complete steering setup, all ready to go. Obviously I've got to fully weld this and get it sitting in the race and do some bracing to make it stronger, but that is the complete steering all set up ready to go. So the only last thing I'll show you before we go is I've also made a holder for my brake disc. So I've made this up myself, obviously because I've got a lathe that makes it a bit easier. So I cut out a circle like this with a hole saw. I bore out the hole. I get a hunk of steel like this, bore it out the centre, fit it onto there, weld it up, drill the holes to mount the disc onto, and then I cut a keyway into the side there with my keyway cutters, and then I'll cut a groove in here as well with the mill, and then that'll be all sorted. So that's sitting on there ready to go. I've got to make the one for the gear, which is this one. So I've got to make one same as that to fit onto here. So that's what this is for, so I can make this to the right size and cut it and fit it all in. So, but that's, yeah, that's, you need special tools to do that sort of stuff. So effectively we have finished the steering now on this. I've got to fully weld it up, fully weld it in place, put all the right bolts in it, but that's quite a milestone to get all that done and sorted. The steering wheel fits on nicely, the covers all fit in there, nice and smooth to move. So yeah, that's a really good shout, I think. So until next time, this is Garage.